Now let's look at different ways in which we can actually automate the population of the values from the point of view of the ArchiCAD properties. So the first one we're going to see is an external source of information, and that will be by exporting those values and populating those in something like Excel or similar, a spreadsheet tool, and then bringing them back into the file. In order to do that, we're going to have to create a schedule to start. So let's go to your schedules, and we're actually going to duplicate the information management IFC properties walls. So in this case, let's do a right click and we're going to create a new schedule. But then this time select duplicate. You'll see that by default, it will select the one that we had selected before. And this time I'm going to say IFC properties walls, and they're going to call it mapping. Let's click on OK. I'm going to filter the same type of elements, but this time I'm not going to bring into the fields the IFC properties, so remove that. And instead, I'm going to look for the Zigurat property that I have created. So let's type in Zig and bring the classification one. So now let's click on OK and open that schedule. There you go. So now what we have in the list is a list of every single item, which again, you can go ahead and click on merge, and the classification value on the right-hand side. Notice that this one you can type, because this will allow you to type in the values for that ArchiCAD property. But that won't really be the purpose of the video. In this particular case, I want to show you how you can pass this information to an external source, let's say a consultant or somebody else who is not working inside ArchiCAD, for them to fill that information up for you. So let's say we need that and we need to send it to somebody else in a spreadsheet format. The way we're going to do that next is then by going to File, Interoperability again, Classifications and Properties, and then Export Property Values from a Schedule. And then we're going to select the folder where you want to save this. Choose the relevant schedule. It needs to be the one that says mapping. That is the one that contains the ArchiCAD property. And then simply give it a name or leave it as it is, and you can click Open File after Save. Let's go and click on Save. And once you open it, you'll see that the schedule has been converted into a spreadsheet with the value field right in front of the type of wall in our case. So now let's say we just type in something in here. Test class for now. And I'm just going to copy that value and paste it in the other fields. Once I've done that, I'm just going to click on Save and close the file. Now, the next thing you'll do in order to recover that information, once you have shared it with someone else and they have sent you back the information, is going back to File, Interoperability, Classifications and Properties, and then Import Property Values into Elements. Once you click on that, select the same spreadsheet and open. Note that the tool will give you a preview of the values that will be imported, and also errors whenever the value cannot be written. In our case, those walls are the walls that are coming from the IFC change check, so that's fine. We're not really applying the properties to those. So let's click on Import, and OK. And now you'll see that particular value being populated into the classification field. Now, this is not the only way in which you can populate those fields from within ArchiCAD. So let's go back to the 3D view for now. And this time, we're going to go back to the Property Manager. And now let's do a different kind of mapping. Let's say that classification is good enough. So we're just going to add another property. So let's click on the plus right here. And this property will be the program block, which is now called a module. So let's call it just block for now. And click on OK. Now, I'm not going to type in the same classes that are going to apply to this property. Instead, I'm just going to grab the ones from the previous property. So I'm going to click on this eyedropper and then back to the block and then the syringe. Now, this property block applies to exactly the same element classes. And then instead of applying the value manually by exporting the files, let's say we want to bring this from a single source, and that's going to be project info. So let's click on expression. And now we're going to look for project info in this button here. And let's look for project number. And that's part of project info, and we have filled that up since the beginning. That's the M7 value. So let's click on OK, and then click on OK. Now, if you don't recall, that value is under File, Information, and Project Info, and is the project number M7. So we want that value to be populated into every single wall in this particular case, and also beams and columns and slabs. Now, let's go back to our schedule right there. Let's click on Settings, and let's include that block ArchiCAD property so that we have it right there. Let's open the schedule again, and you'll see that everything is being populated already with the M7. Now, that is the ArchiCAD property, but not the IFC property. So let's link that. Let's go to File, Interoperability, IFC, and the IFC translator. Let's make sure we go back to the 3D window to make it available. Like so. And go to the property mapping, map IFC properties. And for the sake of the walls, choose program block, new rule, add content, and then look for block, which is right there. And click on OK. What we're expecting to happen is that now all the walls in the file, without having to input the value manually, should have M7 under the IFC property. So let's double check. So let's check the properties of this wall right here. Let's select the settings. And if we go all the way down to the IFC properties, you should be able to see under the WYSIG program block stating block, which is the name of the parameter itself. You may not be able to see the value, and sometimes you may see a red arrow, which is telling that it's been disconnected. So you click on that and it will be reconnected. So let's click on OK and OK again. And let's now check the property back in the previous schedule. So let's check the IFC properties walls. And you'll see that the IFC property called program block, it's actually populating the value of all the walls in the file as M7, since that is the value in project info. Let's close that. And now let's proceed with the same exercise with the slabs, columns, and beams.